Elevation Nation. Tonight, we have a special guest on the podcast. I hope you're ready to feel elevated and inspired and motivated. We have on a guy who, this is how the world works, man. We actually went to the same high school. He came to Stevenson for a year or so. We didn't figure that out until we chatted and started talking about life. But we have on Jeff LoVecchio, former pro hockey player, now owner of Ripped Hockey. He's doing all types of things, speaking around the world to motivate and inspire young athletes and adults. He is doing a lot of fitness content. You've probably seen him on TikTok or Instagram in what he just told me is his basement in his house. I was like, dang, that's a beautiful private gym. No, that's in Jeff's house. So Parker and I are waiting for the invite to come work out, but we'll work on that. Jeff joins us tonight. He's going to become the latest elevator, and it is such an honor and a privilege to have you join Elevation Nation. Jeff, welcome to the podcast, man.
Yeah, excited to be here, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, we're pumped. I got to say, to Sam, like, the gym in the basement is nuts. How did that come about? Like, how new is this?
It's right here,
bro. You're in it. And it's your podcast studio.
I was telling Sam I just moved my office downstairs here. You can see.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yes, I got my office right outside my gym now. We're having a baby. We found out probably 6 to 8 weeks ago, and so
congrats.
I had taken a bedroom in our house and made it my office. And the other bedroom is her office, and then the other bedroom is downstairs, and so I wasn't gonna put my office down there, so in a bedroom downstairs. So I was like, all right, I'll just put right off the gym. I mean, that's my other office. That's my main office, really, is the gym. So, now I got two offices right next to each other. I go back and forth. I do a lot of Zoom calls and stuff like that. But the reason I built the gym is because during COVID, they tried to shut gyms down and all that type of stuff. And when that happened, I decided, oh man, like I don't want all my clients, my in-person clients to get behind. And actually, like I am always try to flip things and look at it from a different perspective. So I was like, oh, if nobody can go to a gym for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that's all it was going to be shut down for. I'll come out and I'll give all my guys online training to do all at home with stuff from around the house. And in 4 weeks, when nobody's done anything, my guys are going to be monsters. And so I created my first online training program for my guys. And I was like, well, I might as well sell this online. And I gave it away super, super cheap, like $25 for the month. It's very intense programming, videos of everything. And that first month, I did really well. I made $10,000 off a $25 program. And I was like, whoa, like, I can do this and help the hockey world specifically when I started by putting out quality training with videos. Because when I grew up, it was PDFs and they sucked. And like you didn't know what anything was. Now you got to like go to YouTube if you get a PDF and you're like, but you don't know if you're watching somebody who actually knows what they're doing or if it's some dummy on YouTube just showing workout stuff. And so this app I use, Train Heroic, is awesome. It's allowed me to deliver quality training. And as that business has grown over the last 3 to 4 years, I've worked with, I think I looked the other day and I think it's up to like almost 16,000 people have used some form of my online training, whether that was just a 1 month or if it was a whole off season or whatever. And so I've built the gym here at my house so I can film new stuff anytime I want and immediately put it into action on the app.
It's a crazy start to your story. We got a lot to dive into.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me, right? Like we think back to COVID, which is when Parker and I really hit the ground running on Elevation Nation.
And of course you did. Because people who are go-getters didn't sit around and take free money and booze their life away. They got freaking better.
You're exactly right. And I think the craziest thing to me, and we call them, I'm going to be a branding guy right now and a little cheesy. People who are elevators, you get it, right? Like we had 5 minutes of a call, Jeff, and I think I already knew you were going to be legit, but hopefully you were like, all right, this kid gets it. And I'm not trying to talk shit about people that maybe don't really want to elevate. Some people are fine being comfortable. And who am I to judge if maybe you want to be comfortable? But for me, that makes me nauseous. I can't not try to improve myself or improve the people around me. And so when you meet other people, other folks that are elevators, it's like this common brotherhood. It's this common little bond that you have where you're like, I know you're working hard to make your life better, to improve your community, to help other people. There's this unique bond that you have, and that's what we're trying to do at Elevation Nation. Is Parker and I are trying to grow ourselves. We're trying to elevate ourselves. I don't have all the answers. I want to talk to Jeff and learn your perspective and your opinion and help me become a better version of me. And so that's what's beautiful about doing these podcasts once a week, is we get to talk to amazing people like yourself and learn from you. So I'm excited to get into your story. You gave us, Jeff, a little bit of your background already, but let's dive a little bit more. This is Elevation Nation. We like to do something called an elevator pitch. Tell us really quick, a quick summary of who you are, and so Elevation Nation can kind of get to know you.
Yeah, Jeff LoVecchio, 38 years old. I went to Western Michigan University where I studied exercise science. I was there for 3 years, and then I signed with the Boston Bruins in the NHL. I only got to play 7 games in the NHL preseason, but I did really well. I had 2 goals, assist, a fight, hit a guy through the glass, not a big deal. Unfortunately, I had a lot of concussions throughout my career. I wound up finishing my career with 14 concussions. After my 3rd year pro, I played the rest of my career professionally overseas, so I got to see the world, which definitely changed me as a person and as a coach and a communicator and things like that, living in different countries that had way different ideological and societal norms than what I was accustomed to. So that was really interesting, and reflecting back, it definitely helped me become a better everything. Because of my concussions, after my 3rd year pro, I started training local hockey players in St. Louis, where I grew up. Year after year, I would come home in the off season in the summer and pick back up where I left off, training more and more and more and more athletes. And so before my 10th year pro, I trained 300 players that summer myself. And after my 10th year, I retired. That was 2017-2018 season, and I've been running Ripped Hockey ever since. And I have a podcast called the Hockey Think Tank Podcast. We got to be close to 2 million downloads now. I don't check it often. It was 1.5 million probably like 5 months ago. So I'm guessing we're closer and closer to 2 million now. But my whole goal with life is just trying to help other people achieve their goals. Normally, it's in hockey, but through social media and as I've grown that stuff, it's kind of come full circle to working with anybody.
Sounds like an elevator to me. Holy shit, that's incredible. All right, before we get into Rift Hockey and all of that, I need to hear more about you living abroad. Where were you, first of all? We got to hear some like cool stories, things you learned along the way.
Yeah, I played Italy, Norway, Austria, Japan, Austria. So I was all over the place.
Japan.
And,
holy shit.
Yeah, Japan was awesome. It's actually hilarious. When I decided I was going to go overseas after my 3rd bad concussion in the U.S., I remember my agent calling me and being like, "Hey, man, this team in Japan wants to sign you. You know, the hockey's not as good as these other leagues in Europe and stuff like that, but it's a great life. They treat you like a king. There's only 3 imports allowed on every team, so they really take care of you. They pay you well." And I was like, "I'm not going to play hockey in Japan." And then like 3-4 years later, I'm like calling him like, "Yo, dude, get me to Japan. Like, I heard Japan is where it's at. Now I know. Now I understand." I got treated so well. Culture, as an American going over there, the culture is amazing. The respect, the safety, like kids, we played all over Japan. My city was in northern Japan, on Hokkaido. But we played like kind of all over Japan throughout the season. And, man, like you see little kids that are literally 5 and 6 years old riding the subway by themselves to and from school in Tokyo. Like the most packed subway, no person would ever mess with them. No crazy people would try and steal them or do something disgusting to them. Everything is clean. Everyone is respectful. And probably the most important thing that I learned from my time in Japan is how cool it is that wherever you are in life right now, like try to be the best at whatever you're doing. Like it doesn't matter if you're the janitor in McDonald's. You are going to be the best janitor that works in a McDonald's in the entire world. Like that's how hard you work. That's how you approach your day. And almost every single person in Japan lives that way. And it's like this inner respect, which breeds community respect, which breeds like national pride and respect. And I do think it's something that we're kind of lacking in America lately. And that's something that really, really stuck out to me and is something that I try to like bring to all interactions throughout my day now with people here in the U.S.
What an incredible story. As you're about to be a father, can you imagine letting your kid go and ride the subway, ride the bus, and go to school? I think that's one thing that traveling, and Parker and I have been lucky enough, not through sports, but just ourselves, to travel and experience different countries. And I know normally, Jeff, you're talking with hockey players, we're going to be a little bit more of a mindset conversation. But one thing that you mentioned is it's beautiful. Other cultures, you're able to go immerse yourself and learn from them, right? I think
Yeah.
a lot of times we're born with blinders on. Me being from, northern suburbs of Chicago, you from St. Louis, Parker from Baltimore, even within the United States, of, oh, this is how I was raised. This is the right way to do everything. And I think until you're thrown into situations that make you uncomfortable, you don't realize there are a lot of different ways to live life. There are a lot of different cultural norms, a lot of different respect things, a lot of different communication differences that you can have. And by going and learning and being open minded, I think it allows you to take the best of all cultures that works for you and your wife and your kids and your family. It's how do you learn and become the best version of yourself? And again, I'm going to tie it back to Elevation Nation is we don't just have on entrepreneurs. We don't just have on athletes. We have on people from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, because I want to learn how to be the best version of myself. And I know Parker does too. So I appreciate you sharing that travel piece with us and kind of some of the lessons that you learned. I want to talk now about how you instill that into all your kids, all your athletes, right? Obviously, you're doing a ton of physical drills with them and they get to learn from one of the best and the brightest in the game when it comes to physical mechanics. But how are you teaching them some of these mindset and motivation and open-mindedness lessons that you were able to learn? And are these kids accepting those lessons, or are they still kind of stubborn in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky at this point in my training business. Like I choose who I work with. It's not really the other way around. It didn't start that way. It probably wasn't that way until year, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9. And I'm on going into year 13 of doing this with everyone below pro. I've been training pro hockey players for 16 years. Um, so now I make sure that the kids who are coming to me are like kids who really want something out of hockey. But even when I used to not work with them, like I think the biggest role a mentor or a coach or a parent or anything has is getting people to understand why they need to buy into getting better. Um, and for me, I take that role very seriously because I was not the most naturally skilled hockey player. I was not great in the gym. I was a weak, like physically weaker, like I was athletic, but I was like super, super skinny. And like the knock on me, like preteen and early teens was like, if you want to play at the higher levels, like you need to get bigger. Like you're too skinny, you're going to get hurt, blah, blah, blah. And, I listened to everybody and I worked on things they told me to. And I realized, oh my God, like look where I got by investing in myself. Like I don't, it's not sacrifice to not go to every party. It wasn't a sacrifice to go to the gym on Friday night before I went to a party in high school. It's not a sacrifice to make sure that I was staying hydrated if guys are going out and boozing all night. Like all of that was investing in myself. And what I'm able to do is get players and anyone who I speak to really to understand through my story by sharing, like, look, like this is what everybody else did, and this is what I did. And like I was not as good as any of these other people. All of them were better than me, no doubt in my mind. But look at their career and look at mine. The biggest difference was I was constantly trying to level up. I was constantly giving more in multiple different disciplines to help myself be a better athlete. And I do the same thing with entrepreneurship, with my business, with my clients. So it's like really just trying to help people. I always say, like, you have to define your why. Like, okay, you tell me you want to be X, hockey player, millionaire. I don't care what it is. Why? Why? Like, unless you define your why, you're never going to have something strong enough that's pushing you to do more, like you said, to learn more, to put yourself out there more in uncomfortable situations, to take something that somebody's better at and learn from that rather than have an ego and just do it your way. You've got to define your why, and that's something that I really focus on with all my guys.
Isn't it crazy that you could say it's a simple question. Define, like, what is your why?
Yeah,
But
man, it's
yet
hard.
It's hard as anything. You could
Yeah.
sit there and think about that question. What inspires me? What's my why for so long? And there's people who can never find the answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because it is hard.
Because
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
they haven't reflected. They haven't looked in the mirror and been honest with themselves. And what's great about it too is it helps you like get rid of the trash stuff that maybe you don't need. Like, okay, like you have a decent car right now and you're trying to save up to buy a house. All your friends start buying cars and you get caught up in the, I want to keep pace with everybody else and you want to buy a car. Okay, why? Why are you buying a new car? Your car's nice. Why? Well, because I need, no, do you need it? Does your car work right now? Yeah. Okay. Like, why? And if you really, okay, I'm getting down to it. All my friends got cars. I'm embarrassed that I don't have a new car. Okay. Well, like, let's get over that. How do we get over that now? Now let's get to the bottom of that instead of just staying on this surface level with no reflection. So it's really important. I think it's the most important thing you can do every single day.
The mindset is so important to whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I want to share with you, Jeff, is I'll tell you a little bit of how Elevation Nation came to be, right? Like Parker and I, we were athletes in high school. We weren't gifted enough to play in college, but we got great grades. We're super involved in school, all for the why of, well, one, our parents and our teachers told us to, and two, we thought that that was the step to get a great job. And we did. We got great jobs out of school. We succeeded. We did what we were supposed to do. And with our first six months, I would say, of our real jobs, we were both like depressed and miserable. And so we reflected on like, where the hell are we? What are we doing with our lives? And what's our purpose? Is this really what I'm about to do for the next 40 years? Is just be miserable and grind at a corporate job until I make enough money to retire and be old? And so we took a step back. We literally locked ourselves in a room with post-it notes and we're trying to figure out. I was like, what is this missing piece? And what we came up with for ourselves, and it relates to your why, is this concept we call mental fortitude. And it's what we go across the country teaching high school, college, and recent graduates is this concept of mental fortitude. And for us, it's three parts. One, you mentioned this, looking at yourself in the mirror and knowing yourself, who you are at your core, what really drives you. Not just like, oh, Jeff's got a 6 slap shot. No, it's your qualities of what you're good at, what you're bad at, your morals, your perspectives, your blind spots, truly who you are at your core. So that's the first part of mental fortitude. The second part is your vision. You said, oh, you want a new car, or oh, you want to have $1 million. You want to be a pro hockey player. Where do you want to go? But to us, it's more than just the tangible steps. It's how do you want to feel when you're there? You have this vision for, I want to be a pro hockey player. What is that vision? What does that feel like? Why do you want that? And then the last part is, this is your why. We call it your fuel. What drives you? What inspires you? What is that fuel that gets you to where you want to go? That's truly the reason for your vision. And so we combine all those three things together and we help young adults activate that and truly use mental fortitude to conquer the real world. And again, we go back to, it's simple, right? Like I didn't say anything that was rocket science. I didn't learn that in school. I don't know if you did, but like they didn't teach us that stuff. And we're really on this mission to try to help young adults figure out how to use mental fortitude to get them to where they need to go. And your why story just really resonated with us as well.
Yeah, I love that, man. It's so powerful that you guys are doing that because, when you have that guiding compass, which for me, it's like, why am I doing anything? Why am I trying to get good grades? Why am I like, you should boil down any challenge you're in, anything you're doing, any action you're taking and boil down the why. And when you realize your why, when you care about something, you're going to do it harder, smarter, stronger. You're going to be more resilient because you're going to get back up because you know how important this thing is to you. It's not just a thing or an object or a goal. Like it's something that you've told yourself, like, this is why I'm doing this, and instead of having something like pulling you, I think it's like you pushing towards whatever it is. And I think that that's a very big difference.
Jeff, I'm curious, like when, life is like this, dude, right? It's up and down and everything in between with all of what we experience. I'm curious, like, what do you do when shit really, really gets hard or something didn't go your way? Are you sitting in your room doing something? Like, what does that look like for you?
I'm lucky now that reflection's a big part of my life and I know how valuable and important it is. And like, I look at how I said in the beginning of the call, I wasn't the most skilled guy, but I got to play 10 years professionally and live all over the world and have these great experiences. And if you're going to play at that level of sports, college and above, like you've got to be good, but you've got to be resilient, because you're not going to have a good day every day. And there's everybody's, especially when you're pro, everybody's coming up after you trying to take your job, younger guys in better shape, all these things. So it's like constantly you have to keep evolving, or else somebody will take your job in professional sports, or you'll be bumped down a league and make less money and provide less for your family. So because I had all these life lessons and was able to like go through hockey for so long, I always now look back at like what would I have done in hockey? What would I have done in a situation? Obviously, not gonna be the same, but like in a similar, how can I parallel this to hockey? How did I get through that? So I really like look back on past experiences, and I know that if I failed back then, or looking at today's failure or complete fuck up or whatever it is, like I lived in all the bad stuff that's happened behind me. I lived. I was fine. I made it out. I kept breathing. I woke up the next day. So like being able to like really root yourself and like bring yourself back to the present and be like, okay, however bad it is, I'm not dead. I'm not dead. I've found myself out of holes before, I can do it again.
We create this like idea in our head that it's either one way or the worst way, right? Like, for example, Sam and I public speak around the country, but I get nervous as shit every time before. I'm like, that day is never going to come. I better, like whatever. I'm pushing it off, put it off. But I know it's going to feel great once it's done. It's going to feel great while I'm up there. And then we can look back, we can laugh, smile, and be like, wow, that's great. But it's still a fear, right? But my new perspective, my new mindset on it is, you're not going to die. Nothing's going to happen. It'll be great. You're still alive. What's the worst that's going to happen? You die. But, at that case, you don't know what's actually happening. So, right? Like, so it's all house money. It's all great, right? And so why not go after what you want?
Yeah, I love that. Why not? Why not? Like, somebody out there is going to do it. Why not me? Like that was also something I was always like, well, if I want to be a pro hockey player, somebody out there is going to be, there's going to be somebody taking that left wing job next year. Why not me? Okay, well then reverse engineer. I always love to like look at what's the goal. Now reverse engineer from wherever that goal is, how old I am, all that stuff, and where am I at today on like a sliding scale, like the side of a pyramid. This is the goal. Let's reverse engineer back to today. And now what's one step, and then the next step, and the next step, and the next step. There's a book I read last year, and I've become friends with him now, Dr. Jason Selk. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable sports psychologist, won a bunch of championships. This guy is just an absolute animal. And somebody gave me his book, RSF, Relentless Solutions Focus. Basically, the theme of the book is no matter what happens, good or bad, but it's usually when something bad perceivably happens to you, you give yourself exactly 60 seconds to sit there, sulk, whatever you need to do. And when that minute is up, you have to think of one thing, no matter how big or small, one thing, one little baby step that moves the needle forward. And it doesn't matter how small it is, but the idea is that by you getting out of fight, flight, or freeze, by you getting out of freeze and getting kind of into fight, you take that first little step. And I imagine it as like a little pebble at the top of a hill. And as it starts rolling, it starts picking up momentum, and the snowball becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until you're just back on track and you're rolling. But a lot of people they freeze and they don't take that first step to get out of the hard situation. And the faster you take that first step, the faster the hard thing is behind you.
I love that analogy. I love that. Take a pause, take a step, and just go from there. I think, and I'm curious, right? You work with a lot of young kids, and I know you get to choose them, but certain athletes, I'm sure you run into this with, is they face some hardships. And I think this happens in the younger generation. And let's be honest, right? We're all on social media. We see what's out there. Paints a lot of ideal situations of life. Well, Jeff, he's got a sick basement gym, and he's grinding, and he's got all these gifts. And Sam and Parker are speaking around the country, and they got it going on, and they must be making bank. And then they start to get in this cycle of, it can't be me. It definitely won't be me. I'm not good enough. I don't have those skills. Those guys got lucky. I can't work that hard. They must have gotten a break, right? And we spin into these spirals. And so I'm curious, right? We have a huge following of a lot of young people out there, high school, college kids. Have you noticed that with the younger generation that grew up in, I didn't have social media like this when I was in high school. I don't know how I would react. And I know you didn't either, Jeff. Like, have you noticed a lot of the young kids are kind of spiraling into these comparison mindsets?
Yeah, I mean, you look at like, especially in the US and probably Canada as well, like as soon as, what was it, 2007, the iPhone came out, everything changed after that. There's no doubt. I remember my roommate, yeah, I'm old, my roommate in college, sophomore year of college, got the first iPhone. And like, we didn't see him for the next month. It was like a huge joke in our apartment. We had a 4-bedroom apartment. And he was their teammate. And like, he got an iPhone. We never saw him again. We're like, dude, this guy's such a loser. Like, what's going on? And he was like our good buddy, just joked like, dude, we never see. He's literally just pasted to his phone. And since then, 10 years later, probably, Facebook and then Instagram and TikTok and all these things. I just think that it's like, obviously we know like a lot of people only show the highlights or whatever, and you've got all these people on social media like flexing all the time, and then you learn that like a bunch of those people don't have what they say they have. It's all fake, and it creates, like you guys are saying, this comparison culture when it's like, dude, stop comparing and start grinding. Stop comparing and start working. And a lot of people on social media are fake AF. You have to know that. Like, I'm in that world a bit, and I see some of these people and I'm like, you do not live the way that you say you live. Like, and I know about what you're making off saying these things, and you haven't done what you say you've done. You haven't lived it. So you also got, like, you guys, you young people listening, don't look around, look forward, worry about yourself, and just grind and find your passions. And for me, it's like, if this is an entrepreneurship thing, like, find what you love doing and find a way to monetize it, and I'm not saying like exploit it. I'm saying find a way to make money in that arena, because you're probably going to be a lot happier. And I think if you're happier and you love what you're doing, you're going to work harder, because it won't feel as much like work. It will always be work, but it will never feel like, I got to be at my job that I hate in 30 minutes and my boss is always up my ass. Like, it's always going to be work. But when you really love what you're doing, you're going to pay more attention. You're going to have more intention, and you're most likely, I think, going to be way more successful. And guess what? That doesn't mean you're going to make $100,000 out of college. It doesn't mean, that's not a thing, guys. Most people will not make 6 figures out of college. All right. You have to understand, it takes time. You don't get what you think you deserve. You get what you deserve and what you're capable of doing right now. So don't be like, oh, but he's getting paid this. Well, you're not that person. Don't worry about it. Worry about you. Eyes forward, get better. In 5 years, make what he's making. Like, let's go,
Don't look around, look forward. I love that. That is a great saying. I absolutely love that. And to be honest with you, in terms of the iPhone, we're talking about iPhone. Yeah, comparison game, but then it's also like, TikTok, I get everything I need on a swipe. I'm entertained. Instant gratification. It's ingrained now in society that I can get what I want when I want it. And it's like, hold up, time. You got to wait. You got to earn your keep, right? And that takes time. And I think that's a maturity thing. You grow up, you grow a little older, and you realize, shit, this is going to take a lot of time. But you know what? I might as well take that time and do something with it instead of looking around and looking at everybody else, making their dreams come true.
Dude, that's so true. And, I don't know if you guys know who Andy Frisella is. He's the owner of First Form. If you don't know, I would suggest all you people listening, look him up. Very inspirational guy, controversial, but very inspirational. I love him. But he always talks about success. Everybody thinks it's a hockey stick, and they think it's the way a hockey stick is held by a player, where it's the blade and then the shaft. And so it's like work, and then I'm going to be successful. But he's like, no, it's a hockey stick laying on the ground. It's all the way down the shaft, all this work, and then you'll hit the blade. And it's probably going to be 10 years, 15 years until you hit the blade. And why most people aren't successful is they're not willing to put in all that work. And then it's like all of a sudden one day it's like straight north. And it's just work, learn, adapt, apply, fail, learn, adapt, apply, fail, learn, adapt, apply. Continue to level up your skill set, your mindset, your life, everything, your surroundings, the people you surround yourself with. And the more you do that, sooner or later, you will hit that blade.
that resonates so much with me because Parker and I have been, doing Elevation Nation for 4 years now. And let's be honest, when we first started, we were different people. I certainly thought like, there's not that many podcasts. We're personable. We're definitely going to have 2 million downloads like Jeff LoVecchio, right? And no, every single week for the past 4 years, we have released 2 episodes a week. We now have over 300 episodes. And what we've learned from that is you have to be consistent. You have to be. And one of the things that's hard, and I think Parker and I have gotten better at this, is you find the little wins along the way, right? We just had a huge moment for us, and I'm going to pat ourselves on the back right here for a minute. We were able to combine our real full-time jobs with Elevation Nation for the first time ever yesterday, speaking at an event hosted and paid for by our real company, right? That was a dream 4 years ago. We thought that would never happen, and we're finally there. And the funny thing is, like, that's just the first step now. To me, that's like, all right, good. We got that going. What's the next thing we're doing? And so it takes consistency. It takes time. That doesn't mean you can't celebrate the little wins along that straight hockey stick. You're going to hit little bumps in the road that, hey, you should pat yourself on the back, but takes time, grind, continue with it. And I'm going to use Jeff as our example here. Jeff didn't start his experience back in high school by saying, yeah, I'm going to, in 20 years from now, have all of this momentum, all these followers. I'm going to have a podcast. I'm going to have sales online with passive income. No, it started as I want to be the best hockey player I can be and the best person I can be. Then it transitioned from I want to help provide for my family and travel across the world and learn. Then it transitioned to I'm trying to help other people elevate and grow. So I'm going to start making videos. Then it was how do I scale these videos to reach as many people as possible? You're going to pivot along the way. But what Jeff did every single time was he stayed consistent, right? It's okay to pivot. What starts as a dream at one point is going to evolve and grow. I can tell you right now, Elevation Nation, and this is a little insight, I tried to build an app with Parker at some point. We're like, we're going to make a mindset app.
Yeah, that was not a good idea.
Building an app?
That was not a good idea.
That was a horrible idea. But we tried.
Yeah, but you pivoted.
And we pivoted. And we
tried
pivoted hard.
Yeah.
We tried.
Hey, and if you didn't try, you wouldn't have learned all the lessons. And it's I hate the word failure, but it's a word that people resonate with, so I still use it. But in that seeming failure, how many years ago was that? The app.
Oh, that was, I think, 3 years ago. That was mid-COVID. I tried to teach myself how to code.
All right. So 3 years ago, you quote unquote failed on an app. One of your goals was to speak and be paid to speak at the company you work for. And 3 years later, you're doing that. So like that failure, I'm sure, helped you get to the goal of speaking to your company, of growing your podcast. Like I always say, failure is not final. When you fail, immediately zoom out 10,000 feet instead of 10-foot view where it's sad. Zoom out 10,000 foot. What could I have done better? What could I have done smarter, harder? Who could I have had a mentorship with that would have helped me through this? Or who can I talk to now to help me get through this? And as soon as you fail, if you do that, you learn, you adapt immediately, you apply it immediately, and you're instantly better. And that's what the most successful people do in the world. It's constantly fail, learn, adapt, apply, pivot. This makes more sense. This, that, boom, boom. And it's like, 100%. As long as you just show up, you're going in the right direction. I mean, you talked about like that. And I look back and obviously my goal was to play in the NHL my whole pro career and make $10 to $20 million. That was my goal. Didn't happen. But guess what? I still work in hockey. I work 3 hours a day, 4 days a week, 7 months of the year. I work hard for, 4 to 5 months a year. The other 7 months, I barely have to work. I'm still in hockey. I'm working with hockey players. I have an awesome life. I love what I do. Did I fail by not playing in the NHL and being able to retire when my career was over? No, but I'm still in hockey. And because of that and everything I did, learning along the way and playing overseas and coaching during my pro career in the summers with kids to make me better, all of those things allowed me to be in the job and do what I do now and do all, make a good living and all these things. But it was from a failure. There is no failure. You guys have to get that out of your head. Learn, adapt, apply, pivot.
It's a beautiful story. I want to add one point to this that I kind of just realized myself is one thing that I think helps us stay consistent and pivot is always having some thing to come back on, right? For Parker and myself, it's the podcast. That's our consistent, no matter what. It doesn't effing matter what else we try to do, an app, speaking, workbook, t-shirt, right? Like if it fails, when we pivot, we get to come back to the podcast. For you, Jeff, it was, I'm going to be training kids no matter what. I'm training both myself and other people and getting better. And I think I'm just putting this together now. I think you always need that one thing consistently that you know in your heart feels good, that why. For you, it's helping impact and elevate other people through physical training. For us, it's the podcast and mindset training. I think it makes it a lot easier to, I'm doing air quotes, to fail on other initiatives and endeavors when you have something else to fall back on that you feel good about and it's consistent. I think where people quit and give up is when they try all these different things fragmented and one of them fails and it doesn't work, and they then spin for months trying to think of that new idea. You just got to keep going.
Totally agree. They don't have that anchor, and they also don't have a why. Like, because if you're trying all these different things, like what are you doing? Like you don't have a strong, like if you're like completely different, all these different things, unless your goal is just to like learn about all these different things, but that wouldn't be failing. You wouldn't be like quitting jobs and things like that. I love that. Like you have to have an anchor.
I mean, great points. I got nothing to add to that one. So we're going to go to the next section, which is our rapid fire, Jeff.
All right,
we're just going to throw some quick questions at you. I'm curious to hear what you got. You know, you got a lot of experience in your life, and we'll start it off. All right. Favorite place you played hockey at?
I'd probably have to say Western Michigan University. I mean, college hockey, like pro hockey's awesome, but college hockey, like the fans, pride in your school, like it's different.
Okay, and then to add to that, is there a moment from your college hockey career that just like, man, I could live that day over and over and over?
Yeah, for my first college hockey goal, Western Michigan, we were ranked like almost last in like all the college hockey polls, and that's why I went there, because I knew that I would have an opportunity to play. So I could have went to like really good schools. I chose a lower level school because I was like, I want to play and sign in the NHL and leave, even though nobody thought I could do that. I knew I could. My first home weekend, we played against Ohio State. They were ranked number 1 in the entire country. We swept them. It was on Halloween, and we had the biggest rager I've ever seen in my whole life. And the whole party is chanting "overrated" all night long, which the student section and the whole rink was sold out, chanting the whole night, the whole weekend. And that was a party I will never forget in my life. And I scored my first goal. So
cherry on top, I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
What's crazy, as a Western Michigan grad, you are not the first Western Michigan Kalamazoo guy that we've had on the podcast. We had on 2 Western Michigan football players who we'll have to introduce you to. Incredible guys building their businesses in both real estate in Kalamazoo, and our friend Zach Novoselsky is building an NIL company, helping athletes get paid. He started as an offensive lineman at Western Michigan. So we'll make those intros for you. Good dudes. All right. Next question I have. Parker and I both played athletics, not at your level, but in high school. And I think sports have the opportunity to teach you so much about life and shape you into the man or woman that you want to become. So my question for you, Jeff, is what is the most impactful lesson that hockey has taught you?
Resiliency. No doubt about it. Resilience. The ability to pick myself up after being cut, after being injured, minor injuries, serious injuries, playing through, losses of confidence, showing up on days where maybe you don't want to be there because you've lost confidence, or you're not having, like, all these different things. Resiliency, number one thing I think that all youth sports can teach young people, and is the reason I think that every single young person should have to play some type of organized sport, whether it's through their school or anything.
Love that. All right, last one. You're having a shitty day. You woke up, not feeling good. Day's going on, not feeling good. What's like one thing that you do that you know is going to get yourself back on track every single time?
Play music. No doubt. Music affects me at like a different vibration than I think 99.9% of people in the world. When I played, I woke up every day, and one of the first things I would do is put headphones on just to like get myself in the right headspace. I have specific songs that I use. If I am having a bad day, I have specific songs I listen to before every speech I give. I have specific songs I listen to before big meetings, and I will only listen to those songs in those specific situations. If they come on, on shuffle or while I'm driving, I change them because I want them to have like to evoke a specific emotion that I need to feel when I want to listen to those songs.
I'm the complete same way.
Love that.
That is awesome.
That is.
I thought I was crazy, but no.
No, but the thing is, a lot of people will still listen to those songs all the time. I think they have less power if you like. I tell guys, when they're about to do their visualization right before a game or something like that, like only listen to like this one song. If you're like in a down spot, find a song that gives you some kind of emotion that you need in that moment, but save that song for only listening to that time. And it's way more special. And it's kind of like how when you go to sleep or when you go to your bedroom, you're not supposed to lay in your bed unless you're going to sleep, because if you do that, your bed becomes like a hangout spot. And now you've created this space in your brain where I get in bed and I might do work or I might read or I might do this or that. Whereas if you only lay in bed when you are going to fall asleep, you will fall asleep faster and more consistently.
Totally agree. And I know what song Parker's thinking of that has special meaning to him. We'll have to send it to
It's
Jeff.
like a million.
You have a lot. That's true. You do have a lot. Look at this record player over there. He's got tunes always bumping in the apartment.
That's awesome.
I love it. All right, Jeff, I'm going to move us to our last section here. Every single person in Elevation Nation, when they come on the podcast and when we go speak around the country, the whole goal and how you officially join the nation is you get something called your mental motto. And for us, that's a phrase that embodies who you are. It's a phrase that you live your life by. The coolest thing about the mental motto is we've now gotten over 5,000 people in Elevation Nation. Not one of them have had the same mental motto. Everyone has been unique, which is wild, but it just shows that people have different things that resonate with them. Wow. So, Jeff LoVecchio, we want to ask you, what is your mental motto?
Give more, be more. Easy. On my hat, it's tattooed on me. Doesn't matter what you want to do in life. Give more and you will be more. And also, like in everything you do, if you give more, you'll be more at whatever it is, the thing that you truly want to excel at most. For instance, if you want to be a professional hockey player, give more to your training. You'll be more as a hockey player. Give more to your nutrition. You'll be more as a hockey player. You'll be better. Give more to your studies. It will create ways for your brain to learn new things, which will help you to learn new skills on the ice. Give more to your teammates. By being a better teammate, you're going to be a better player. Teams and coaches are going to want you more because you're a better team guy, right? Like it doesn't matter. Give more to your community, right? Rising up people around you. Like the more that you give, you will always get back something in return. And so when you live that way, just everything changes. Everything changes. Like you stop looking at like things like, oh, I have to. No, you get to. You get to. You don't have to do anything. You could stay home all day and just, stay there, be depressed. No, you get to go to work. There's people in the world who don't get to go to work. They have no money. They have no food. You get to go to that job you don't like because there's probably a couple million people in this world. I'm sure probably tens of millions of people in this world who would literally kill to have the life that you have right now. So you better give more and you'll be more.
Awesome mental motto and even better explanation, Jeff. That was unreal. Love it. Give
Appreciate
more,
it.
be more. I got to get myself a hat.
Hell yeah,
dope.
bro.
Yeah. Love it. All right, Jeff, that wraps it up, man. 45 minutes of elevating right there. And I feel elevated. I feel good. I'm going to walk away from this conversation. Sam and I are going to be like, damn, there's so many clips we got to cut for this. There's just, what a time. Jeff, you're the man. I appreciate you spending time with us. I know Elevation Nation is going to learn a hell of a lot from you. And all I got to say is it's so cool to see what you're doing. And you're inspiring us. You're inspiring so many. And I cannot wait to continue to watch you elevate yourself, but also elevating others. because that's what it's all about, man.
Hell yeah.
Elevation Nation. Until next week, peace.